No nonsense gin drinking. All gin and a surprising amount of nonsense.
Hello gin lovers, welcome back. I'm Bobby Freeman. Today, my friends, you join me in a rather cloudy and murky South London, which is actually quite good because it means I'm not going to get sunburnt quite as quickly as I do usually. And you join me at the distillery of the legendary gin makers Hayman's. Now, I've featured many Haymans on my show, and in fact the company goes right back to 1863 and it's still owned by the same family now, so they must be doing something right. And as I said, I've featured many of these gins on my show. I've got the original London Dry, I've featured their citrus one, and I've featured their, of course, their lovely Old Tom, which is probably one of my favourite gins of, of all time. So today we're going to be having a look inside in this awesome building. We're going to be looking into a bit of the history of the brand, trying some of the old gins that I've tried before but haven't tried for a while, just to refresh my taste buds, trying some of the new gins that they've got here as well that I haven't actually tasted yet, and maybe throwing a few cocktails in there as well, and just generally making mediocre gin based content like I usually do for you guys for your entertainment. You are welcome. And if you like the sound of that sort of thing and you haven't subscribed to my channel already, what in God's name have you been doing? Go and do it now. While you do that, I'm going to get in here and get stuck into some gin. Then, the very nice Emma and Alexa have decided to let me loose on their amazing bar. I'm extremely jealous. I wish I had this back in the studio. What have I got back in the studio? A couple of Billy bookcases and a mantelpiece full of my own gin. However, for about the next, I don't know, however long it takes me, I'm going to be basically going through a bit of a rerun of some of our old favourite Hayman's here, as well as a couple I haven't actually tried yet. So I am officially extremely excited. So first of all, we're going to hark back to the lovely old London Dry Hayman's, the classic gin. They make their core gin, the core gin that's kind of, it just sort of does everything right, doesn't it? Nothing wrong, nothing sort of bells and whistles and fancy, but just kind of gets all that ginness that you want. So they're already poured out for me here. So let's remind myself of this one. I can't remember when I first did this one. It must have been at least 2 or 3 years ago now. So oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. It's just one of those ones, like I say, it's good to have a gin on the shelf that you can really just kind of rely on. It's not going to do anything flamboyant and sort of crazy, but it's just a good, solid gin. And Hayman's is, probably one of my top cluster of those gins. So then we're going to move on to the good old vibrant citrus. Now this has literally a plethora of vibrant citrus, as the name suggests, and so much of a plethora, in fact, that I can never remember it. So the lovely Alexa is going to help me here. What is actually in this bottle, Alexa?
So alongside our 10 core botanicals that are in every bottle of Hayman's gin that we produce, we increase the amount of citrus that's already there, so lemon and orange peel anyway, that's almost doubled.
Yep.
And then we add those 4 new vibrant citruses.
Nice.
So that is the peel of pomelo and Italian mandarin.
Okay.
And then we add the whole fruit of Persian lime and kumquat as well.
So that's the whole fruit, like the juicy kind of thing goes in.
So everything's dehydrated,
right?
Partly for preservation across kind of seasons and harvest times, but also because when you dehydrate, that concentrates all of that amazing flavour.
Of course, yeah.
But so the fruit's sliced before it's dehydrated, and that's what goes into the still.
Amazing. That's what we need, an expert for once on this show. Thank you very much, Alexa. Right, let's get stuck into this one, shall we? So here we go. It's this one down here. I seem to remember this was a real kind of zesty kind of citrusy. I always love a citrus gin. Who doesn't love a citrus gin? So let's have a crack on this one. Oh my God. It's just like it's a kind of a sort of a party of flavors all kind of going off like little citrusy fireworks at the same time. By the way, if you're wondering what this sort of the humming noise in the background is, this is a working distillery. So there is variously hums and roars and various sort of noises going on. But what can we do? That's what happens when you're filming a working distillery. But we don't worry about these sort of things on this channel. We're never chasing perfection, are we? Just something kind of not too bad. I'm always happy with that. But anyway, back to the gin. It's a genuine delight. I always enjoy the citrus gins. I always, even in the London Dry sort of core gins, I like the ones that are more citrus forward. So this is kind of just sort of a beefed up sort of version of that, which can only be a good thing. And then, my friends, we come to, I was going to save this one till last, but because I've tried it already, I thought I'd better save the ones I haven't tried until last. But this is one of my all-time top 10 favourite gins. This is the Hayman's Old Tom. Now, I love an Old Tom. I've got a little bit of a sweet tooth, so I always like the Old Tom because they've got that little bit extra kind of sweetness, and it's a really kind of thick and viscousy. Wow. Let me try, where is it? It's down over here, the green one here. Let me just treat myself to this. Honestly, I could drink this stuff all day long. I mean, I won't because, well, I'd be dead. And I just love the fact it's got all the history to it. You know, this was the precursor to the London Dry, the thing that people were drinking like in the 1700s. I mean, to be fair, they were drinking it whilst, you know, drinking it to the point they were unconscious on the street. I definitely wouldn't recommend that. I always recommend responsible drinking here on No Nonsense Gin. But you know what I mean? You can kind of taste the history in there. It's just a little bit kind of, oozing that sort of sweetness and the viscosity, and I just love it. I just absolutely love it. And by the way, I forgot to mention, I've also been adorned with a Hayman's apron here, which is making me feel very official, like I'm actually part of the team. I'll try and get as many freebies as I can out of them. So I've got the apron. I might see if I can push for a t-shirt as well. So let's put the Old Tom back there. So now we're going to move on to the ones that I haven't actually tried. For whatever reason, I don't know, I just haven't got round to them yet. And that is, where's the first one? We're going to go to the sloe gin here. Now, I don't think I've featured many sloe gins on the channel. I don't know why. There's just so many gins to get through. I just haven't got to them yet. So I always find sloe gin a real kind of, a bit of a treat, a bit of an indulgence, you know. And it tends to, I was just saying to Emma and Alexa, I don't know why people tend to just seem to drink it around Christmas time, because it's an all year round drink, I think. Especially it's a pretty hot day here in London. Well, hot as you can actually get in the UK, but I think over a bit of ice, it's really kind of, anyway, I'm jabbering on too much about it. Let me try it, hang on. And as I say, I've never tried this one before, so, it's a real kind of fruity, sort of voluptuous aroma to it. So I'm not going to bog myself down too much in the aromas because I think it's a waste of time. I'm going to crack on and get it in the old mouth. So here you go. Honestly, gin lovers. I tell you what, I need to feature more sloe gins on the channel because that is an absolute just joy from the second it touches your lips. Even when it tickles the old nasal passages, it's very pleasant as well. But from the second it touches the lips, it's just sheer fruity, sort of really sort of plummy sort of depth of flavour, and it's actually fairly strong on the old ABV as well. It's 26%, which for a fruity kind of gin is still got a hell of a kick to it, and I really like that. So that's the sloe. In fact, you know what, I'm going to keep that there. I might sip that throughout the video. So then we move on to this little fellow, which is the Peach and Rose Cup. Now this, I wasn't aware of this one actually, that Emma showed me about this one before, and Alexa was talking to me about it as well. And this is a kind of a nice light version of the Hayman's, a little bit lighter on the ABV. What is it? It's down to, I'm going to have to get my glasses. God damn, it's annoying being old. Let's have a look. 25%. So let me have a little blast on this one. Where is it? Over the front there. So let me have a bit of a sniff to it first, as is customary. Oh yes. Now peach is very, very rarely used in gin. We've done one. I think that was actually the Gordon's White Peach, and funnily enough, everyone knows I'm not the biggest fan of Gordon's. In fact, I'm a very harsh critic of Gordon's. However, that, with the peach in, made it kind of palatable. So I think peach should be used more often in gin. And if it's not, I want to know why not. Anyway, let's get it in the old mouth, shall we? And of course, it's got rose as well. Now, I'm not usually a big fan of rose, but sometimes stuff that I'm not a big fan of, used in moderation in intelligent ways, can actually make things really nice, as I always say with the grapefruits. Let's have a bit of a go on. Wow, the peach is all encompassing, and it's just the right amount as well, without being too sweet, because gins can get, I do like a sweet gin, as I say, but they can get a bit too sweet at times. But they just sort of, this is what happens when you have a gin company that has been doing it for over 150 years, as I said earlier. They just know what they're doing. They know how to balance things. This is supremely balanced. And the rose is very, very light and subtle, because rose is a powerful flavour. What was that one I featured? It was that gin I don't like. Hendrick's. Hendrick's has a lot of rose in there. Too powerful, way too kind of perfumey, like your sort of like pot puree or something, or some of your auntie wears at Christmas time in the 1980s. This is just subtly woven into there very, very carefully. It's just kind of tickles the sort of the taste buds just in a very subtle way, and it gives a bit of a depth of flavour to that peach. And it's, I tell you what, that is that's really nice. So if I had to pick a favourite, because I know that's what everybody's asking, people ask me this all the time, what's your favourite gin, what's your favourite gin? It's a difficult question. So if I had to pick a favourite of these, that is going to be very, very tough, and a very unfair question, if I might say so, actually. But if you're asking it, then, you know, I always like to answer questions and rise to challenges on this show, as you know. So it's a really, really tough one, because they're all, well, first of all, because they're all so very different. However, you probably guessed by my waxing lyrical earlier, for me, the Hayman's Old Tom has a very, very special place in my heart, because I featured it. I reckon it was possibly one of the very first gins I ever featured on the channel, and I just fell in love with it straight away. And it's just something about the colour of the label there, which is incidentally the same colour as my mum's garden shed, if in case you're wondering. And I just love it. I said before about the history and everything, and I just think that sort of viscous, sort of really sort of almost caramelly kind of quality is something really special. So if I had to, if you put a gun to my head, unlikely, and I hope it doesn't happen, I'd probably go, well, I'd definitely go for the good old Hayman's Old Tom. So sadly, that's the end of my Hayman's bar experience. Not the whole experience yet, but my experience behind the bar here. But it's made me feel, for once in the history of my channel, look vaguely professional. So I'm very grateful, if not just for that. Now we're going to go and have a look, see how the gin's made. Let's go. So here we are in the lab with Alexa again, and she's going to run us through the botanicals used to make Hayman's gin. And it's actually the same process, the exact same process that James Burrough used when he first started the gin back in 1863. Obviously juniper is at the core of it, as is coriander seeds, and then you've got your lemon peel and orange peel. And James Burrough was actually one of the first people to use citrus in gins, and it's something that we see, you know, in pretty much every gin today. Then we've got the cinnamon and the cassia bark and the nutmeg to give those base kind of earthy woody flavours, and nutmeg gives it actually a kind of a creamy essence as well. There's a man trying to hold on to the last strands of hair before he goes bald. And then we have the fixatives, so the orris root, the angelica root and the licorice root, which actually help to retain flavours as well. And then we have the Hayman's family, so that's Christopher there, and then James and Miranda, his two children, who run the company now. This is James Burrough, the main man who started the whole thing off, and then this is actually Christopher's mother, Marjorie. And then we moved over to the business end, where all the stills are, where they actually make the gin. This is Phil, their master distiller. Phil the Still, well, they don't call it that, but that would be a good name. This is where the gin is actually trickling out as we speak, and Phil very kindly got some in a glass for me and let me try it. However, it is coming out at about 80% ABV at this point, as you see from the look of my face. Oh, goodness me, that stung on the way down, I can tell you. This is their next still. This is a hybrid still. This is called Karin, and this is where the majority of the gin is made, that goes all over the world to about 70 countries, and it's 1,100 litres in there. This is actually some of the finished product there. That's the not so finished product when it's still coloured by the botanicals. Looks a little bit like a urine sample, but tastes a lot better. And here we're going to have a look inside Karin. If you ever wonder what it looked like inside a still, well, there you go. It smelled lovely. Pure ethanol, but very nice. And there we go, some gin bubbling away, ready to go. So as an extra special treat at the end of the video here, Alexa's going to make, we were talking about cocktails earlier, and particularly about the sloe gin, because I really, really liked it. And Alexa told me about this amazing cocktail called
Charlie Chaplin.
The Charlie Chaplin. So we thought, shall we have a bit of that? Why not? We've got nothing else to do. Well, I haven't anyway. But Alexa's probably really busy, but she's given up her busy schedule just so we can make a nice Charlie Chaplin. So it's sloe gin.
Correct.
And
with an equal parts blend of apricot brandy and lime juice. So it's a really, really classic cocktail named after the late great Charlie Chaplin.
Some guy called Charlie Chaplin.
Some guy that we may or may not have heard of.
How much of that? That's the 60.
So we're going to go for 35 ml of each.
35 ml of each. Right, okay.
I'm feeling generous.
Huh?
And
Thank you very much.
A bit for myself.
Why not?
Sloe gin, apricot brandy, and then I've just freshly squeezed some lime juice.
Lime juice. Woo. Look at that technique.
And then, so I've just chilled down in the Canora glass. Colour contrast, a little bit of beautiful, delicious limey aroma.
Excellent. I like it. Cheers. Thank you very much. Here we go, the Charlie Chaplin. Oh,
is good, right?
Wow. Kind of really sort of, you got that plummy fruitiness of the sloe, but it's really kind of beautifully offset with that citrus of the limes, and then the apricots and the brandy gives it just a little bit kind of something bit of special in there as well.
Lovely and rounded and fruity, but it's not sickly or sweet. A cocktail that needs to come back into fashion for sure.
Absolutely.
You heard opinion.
Yeah, you heard it here first. So guys, hope you've enjoyed that video today. It's been, you know, a real genuine pleasure to be here and spend time with the people here and in this amazing Hayman's building. And one of the things I really love about Hayman's is they haven't sold out to one of these big conglomerates like so many other small family-run companies have done. They're still owned by the same company. I think that's really special, you know. It's something you just don't see anymore. And if you fancy coming down here yourself to have a look at this place, they do distillery tours, cocktail masterclasses, and martini masterclasses, the details of which I'll put all in the section below. As you know, I've featured many Hayman's on my show before, and I've always enjoyed the brand. It's always been great, but to actually come and see how it's all made and, you know, be a part of it in this absolutely incredible environment has been absolutely wonderful. So I really hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you have, don't forget to express that enjoyment by subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. And if you want to be so kind as to support my channel, head over to the Patreon page or click the join button below this video to become a YouTube member. But until next time, guys, you all know the drill. Take care, stay safe. Thank you to all my patrons and members, and of course, keep drinking the gin.